Well, this week I came to a realization. It was something that I had been, as I was saying, I have a problem. And I realized it this week, and I just came out and just said it. That I have a problem with sweets. I just need to admit it. I have a problem with sweets. I mean, when you get a Snickers bar or a Baby Ruth or Sour Patch Kids, they'll just do something to your soul. You just like, the Lord he must be real. Like M&M's, cake, cookies. I mean, I cannot, how many of you guys are like, I can't eat dinner and then like just go to bed. I gotta have something sweet. I'm laying in bed. It's 2 o'clock. I'm like, I need something sweet. You know, and I think it's genetic because my mom, she has the most ridiculous sweet tooth. She buys candy, she buys cake, and then complains that it's in the house. Who bought this? You. Take this to your room, right? So she's, all right, I'll take the cake, I'll take the cookies, I'll take whatever to my room. Tell me why she in my room getting the candy. She has a problem. You guys in this room, you guys have problems too with candy. It's good. I think God created it for our enjoyment. Candy is good. It tastes good. But something that I discovered, I'm sure you discovered this too, that when you eat candy, eat sweets in a large amount, it's not the last time you see it. And I don't even talk about the bathroom. You see it in your waistline, don't you? You think, oh man, this is nothing. It's small. It's little. But then you realize a couple weeks later, dang, this is back. The Snickers is back. The cake is back. And so you have to, isn't it true, like the amount of time it takes you to consume that, but the weight you gain, it takes so much longer to get that weight off? You ever been on a treadmill or something like, it wasn't worth it. That cookie wasn't worth it. The cake, it wasn't worth it. And then when you eat the cookie, like, it's worth it. It don't matter. I can do it. So we do, I think most of us at some point in our life, we care about our physical waistlines, but I think we should care also about our spiritual waistline. And the Bible talks about something, it's a topic we're going to talk about this morning, that actually says it can affect your spiritual waistline if you're not careful about it. So today we're going to talk about gossip. And our text is going to be Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 22. Now today I have a lot of points and things, and so I have notes for you. So if you're a note taker, they're there for you so you can relax if you're avid notes taker. We'll have notes for you after the sermon. But Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 22 says, "The words of a gossip are like choice morsels. They go down to a man's inmost parts." So here's what the writer of Proverbs is saying. He's saying that gossip goes down into your inward parts. Saying basically he goes to your heart and your soul. It can actually injure your heart, injure your soul. And gossip kills churches, kills relationships. Gossip can actually take a church off of its course. There was a study in the New York Daily News that found that 80% of normal people's conversation consists of gossip. 80% of normal conversations consist of gossip. And there are actually websites and blogs and Twitter accounts that are set up specifically to just talk about gossip. And many people go to these sites and they look at what's happening in the world, and many of them are Christians. And what's crazy is we're supposed to be people who stay far away from that, but sometimes we're the main consumers. Scripture says that the words of a gossip are like choice morsels. They go down to your inmost parts. It goes down to your heart. It goes down to your soul, and it actually corrupts your heart and your soul. So it's a serious issue. Gossip is a sin. Now, in my life, I've wondered, why do I worry so much about the church? I'm always worried about the church. I'm always worried about what's happening, what's not happening, who's here, who's not here, what's going on with this person, what's going on with that person. I'm always worried about that until I started reading the Bible and seeing that Paul had the same kinds of concerns. If you read his letters, he said, I was I was thinking and I was a little afraid that the enemy had come in and had led you astray. I was afraid that false teachers had come in and led you astray. So I said, see, I'm just like Paul. Paul cares about his people. He cares about the flock of God. And in one of his letters in 2 Corinthians, this is what he writes to the church. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 20, he says, "For I am afraid that when I come, I may not find you as I want you to be, and you may not find me as you want me to be. I fear that there may be quarreling, jealousy, outbursts of anger, factions, slander." What's the next word? Gossip, arrogance, and disorder. Paul's sitting in his cell. Paul's sitting wherever he is, and he's thinking about the church of Corinth, and he's saying, I wonder if they are gossiping about each other. He's not saying, I'm wondering if they're sleeping together. I wonder if they're stealing. I wonder if they're killing. No, I'm wondering if they're gossiping about each other. It's a serious issue. And it's an issue that happens in the church all the time. Now you might be thinking, well, Shola, we're just talking about words here. Words? Words? That's all. That's it? What about murder? And what about stealing? And what about rudeness? We're talking about words? I think Jesus would differ with you because he says what you say is very important. In Matthew chapter 12 and verse 36, this is what he says. "But I tell you that men will have to give account on the day of judgment for every careless word they have spoken." See, words matter to Jesus. Now, you might be tempted to think, it's just words. But here's the issue. Words are connected to your heart. So what you say is really a reflection of what's in your heart. We have pride, we have arrogance, we have murder, we have slander in our hearts, and they make their way to the surface when we speak. And what Jesus is saying is not just your words are what's going to condemn you. What's going to condemn you is the fact that you have an unregenerate heart. And the way you know that is because of the things that you say. When you become a Christian, your speech changes. It changes. There's a difference between the way you spoke before you knew Christ and now that you know Christ. There's a difference in the way that you talk. And people say, oh, God knows my heart. And I say, I know it too. How you know my heart? Because I listen to you. You can't tell me what's in my heart. Yes, I can. Because what you say is really what's in your heart. And you really can't control that. Even if you think, I can fake it, you can only fake it for so long in front of so many people until it comes out. The Freudian slip is not true. That's what's in your heart. And I've had some bad ones in the past that I won't get into. Words are the test and the revelation of character. Words are the test and revelation of character. If you want to know what kind of person you are, let somebody cut you off on the freeway. Let you hear that someone said something about you. Let your favorite sports team lose. Let's see what's really in your heart. Let's see the kind of person you say you are. Yeah, you come to church and you look really holy and you sing really holy and you give really holy. But let's be honest. The world out there, people out there can do things to you that bring things out of you that you didn't know were in there. But don't be deceived and think, well, man, that was just a bad day. No, that's you. That's who you really are. And Jesus says on the day of judgment, you will be judged for every careless word that you speak because it's really a reflection of your heart. So when we're talking this morning about gossip, we need to figure out what are we talking about? What is the definition? So this is a definition that we're going to use for this morning. This is what gossip is. Gossip is spreading harmful information in an ungodly manner without love, thus leading to no positive end. Gossip is spreading harmful information in an ungodly manner without love, thus leading to no positive end. Another way to say this would be to say a person who likes talking about other people's private lives. Now, there are some myths about gossip. Some people will tell you that gossip is only when you say things that aren't true. So when you're gossiping, you are telling unsubstantiated and untrue things. That's not necessarily the case because you can be gossiping and saying something that is very true. But the goal and aim of gossip is really to diminish another person. So when someone is gossiping, it's not that they're saying something that's not true. It's that they're saying something that is aimed at diminishing someone else. Now, we're going to look at 6 things about gossip. We'll run through them real quick. Number 1, gossip betrays. Gossip betrays. Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 13 says, a gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy man keeps a secret. Someone ever said to you, I'm about to tell you something I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but I'm going to tell you, but please don't tell nobody else. What I'm telling you is top secret information. Please do not repeat this because I told the person I wasn't going to tell anybody, but I really need to tell someone. Now, that is a betrayal. Imagine you tell somebody something, you say, I'm dealing with this, I'm struggling with this, and then they go and tell somebody else what you're dealing with, what you're struggling with, what you did. You feel totally betrayed. Someone who's trustworthy keeps a secret. I've seen this with my dad over the years. Things that he knew, that when it came out, like, did you know about this? He said, yes, I knew about that. So, man, how did you keep that to yourself? Good Lord. Because there's some people, you know who they are. They cannot keep a secret. It will be out soon. So, gossip betrays. Number 2, gossip separates. Gossip separates. Proverbs 16, verse 28. A perverse man stirs up dissension, and a gossip separates close friends. Now, you know this already, but there are people who will make it their mission in life to make your life miserable. Amen. Wow, yeah. It's their mission. They do everything they can to make your life miserable. And they will say things about you to other people. They're jealous of you. They don't like the relationships that you have, so they're trying to separate the kind of things that you have. They want to separate your church. They want to separate your family, separate you from your kids. That's what a gossip does. They stir up dissension. They're trying to mess with your relationships. Number 3, gossip is an ego booster. Now, I don't have to even ask you because you are all gossipers. So I'm just going to say this as, I'm just assuming this is true. I'm not even going to ask who many of you have ever gossiped you have. When you've gossiped, doesn't it make you feel important and needed? Because this is what happens when you gossip. It makes you feel like you are superior to the person you're talking about. So you might not, you don't say it, but it's in your heart. You believe it. You say, so-and-so, she's on drugs again. The implication in your mind is, but I'm not. Yeah, so-and-so is, sleeping with him again, but I'm not. So-and-so was caught with this and this and this in his possession, but I wasn't. See, you start to feel very, very superior. It makes you feel good about yourself. It makes you feel needed. I'm the person who's bringing this information to you. You wouldn't have known this had I not told you. Ridiculous. To think that you are as important as you. So as you declare your judgments about other people, it just boosts your ego. That's one of the, you can tell proud people are gossips. Because they're always talking about what so-and-so is not doing, what so-and-so messed up, so-and-so was looking crazy, so-and-so, but I wasn't. And what's ironic sometimes is the very person they're talking about is saying the same thing about them oftentimes. Next, gossip cripples intimacy. Gossip cripples intimacy. What I mean by that is, what gossip does is it creates an environment of suspicion. You can't really connect with people because in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, I wonder if this person is being genuine when they tell me that they love me. I wonder if this person really cares about me when they say that. So it's an environment where we come into church and you say, hey, how you doing? But you're suspicious that when they say, oh, I'm good and you look good too, you're like, I wonder if when they go home, they talk about me. I think about this all the time. After preaching, I wonder what they're saying about me. And I said in Petaluma, I said, that makes it hard to preach sometimes. Because I'm thinking, oh man, they probably thought that was stupid, and they're probably going to talk about that when they get home. I feel weird. You can't have an intimate relationship with somebody if you're always suspicious of them. You can't tell them anything of any value if you don't trust them. How you doing? I'm good. That's our relationships. I'm good. When you're struggling with some addiction and you can't tell anybody because you're afraid they're going to tell it to everybody. It cripples intimacy and it erodes trust. And even the morale that's in our church. You come into a church sometimes it's filled with joy, oftentimes because people are encouraging each other, loving on each other. But when you go into a church where there's like real deadness and nobody's really talking to each other, it's because it's this suspicion. Gossip, it cripples intimacy in a way that we can't really be close. And God wants his family to be close. Next, gossip is wasteful. It's wasteful. What I mean by that is the energy that you spend talking about other people, you could spend worshiping. You can spend encouraging. You can spend witnessing. You can spend praying. And we waste so much time talking about other people. It's such a waste. Such a waste. Next, gossip is secretive. It's secretive. Now, the Greek word that's translated gossip in the New Testament means whisperer or whisper. And the idea is not so much that the word of what somebody is saying is false, but it's the fact that what they're saying needs to be a secret. So if somebody's fly is down, you don't say, hey, your fly's down. When somebody has bad breath, you don't say, hey, you need some toothpaste or whatever it is you would tell them. What do? You say, hey, your fly's down. Or you come close to them and say, here's a Tic Tac. Or gum, or go to the candy basket in the back and grab something, right? You do it quietly. Why? Because the information is not meant for everyone. And when somebody is a whisperer, they're not open, they're not candid, they're not forthright. It's this dark secret thing. And people of God are not supposed to be secretive in that type of way, talking about other people. The words that they're saying are not aimed at healing. It's actually aimed at harming people. Someone said that gossip is saying to someone's face. No, that's not right. Gossip involves saying behind a person's back what you would never say to their face. But flattery is saying to their face what you would never say behind their back. Girl, you look good today. You wearing that dress. Behind her back, girl, she knows she should not be wearing that. Hey, dude, that was a great sermon today. That was awesome. I fell asleep. Your kids are so well behaved. Baby kids. Right? It's flat. It's in their face. It's one way. You turn around. Behind their back, it's something else. And that's what gossip is, secretive. We whisper. That's when, I forgot who it is, say, there's no secrets. So you see kids all in the corner. Teacher will say, no secrets. Say, why? Because most of the time we were saying something we shouldn't be saying. In fact, all the time. Now, gossip is a problem for single young women. I'm going to run quickly to the scripture because I need to... Felt like 12,000 lasers just shoot. Snipe. And then we quickly sing. This is what Paul says in 1 Timothy chapter 5 in verse 13. He's talking to the widows, the young widows in the church. He says, besides, they get into the habit of being idle and going about from house to house. And not only do they become idlers, but also gossips and busybodies, saying things they ought not to. So I counsel younger widows to marry, have children, to manage their homes, and to give the enemy no opportunity for slander. Some have, in fact, already turned away to follow Satan. Paul says, I'm just listening to what Paul says, single young women, there is sort of a propensity to gossip. Now, that in no way excuses the rest of us. In no way. In fact, we would look at that and say that applies to us too. But God's word, there's a wisdom there in that when you're young and single and you're not doing anything, you don't have a house, you don't have kids, you don't have, household chores to do, whatever it is. He said sometimes you can get bored and it turns into doing things and saying things that you ought not to say. And so Paul gives that counsel to single young women. Paul does. I do too, just behind Paul. So let me help you not to gossip with 4 words. If you remember these 4 words, it will help you not to gossip. You ready? Always to, never about. Always to, never about. Always to, never about. If the person's not there to defend themselves, to give explanation, you don't say it. You don't talk about it. Always to, never about. Remember Jesus told the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector? And in there, Luke writes something very interesting. It says that he told this parable to those who were confident of their own righteousness. In other words, he's saying, I'm about to tell you a parable about you, and I'm saying it to your face. He wasn't saying, disciples, let me tell you about the Pharisees. But he said, I'm going to say this right to your face. Because oftentimes the reason why we don't say things to people's face is because we think if we say it to their face, it's going to create a lot of problems. And it might. It's going to create strife. It's going to create issues. It's going to be painful. So we don't talk to people because it feels safer to not talk to them. But here's the thing. Jesus doesn't call us to make safe choices. He calls us to make loving choices. So that means you might have to say something to somebody that will cause issue, cause pain. But in the end, Jesus is not calling us to be safe. If you've been in the church long enough, you know it's not a safe place. It is in one sense, but in another sense, we have to deal with our own sin. And people have to talk to us about our own sin. At least they should. And there are times when somebody will say something about you and the way you do things, or something you said, and it hurts. It's harmful. It really hurts. But it's the loving thing to do. I can't tell you today that in the moments when I was getting disciplined by my parents, I was joyful about that. I was not joyful. It was not fun. But now, older, I didn't like it. But I know what it has produced, what it has made me. And so sometimes we need to say, you know what, I'm going to say this to you, and I'm not going to say this about you. I'm going to be like Jesus. Now, I can already hear some people saying, well, wait a minute. What if I have an issue with somebody? There's something that happened, something they did, and I need advice on how to deal with it. So I need to, talk to this person about something, but I need advice. Is it gossip if I go to my best friend and say, yeah, I saw so-and-so out there doing this, that, and the other, and just give me advice about how to talk to them? Yes, that is gossip, but there's a way to get around that. When you go, if you need advice about something, you need to confront somebody, and you need advice from one of your best friends, when you go to them, make it anonymous. So you go to them, you say, I need to ask you something. The situation, I saw someone doing something, and I need to confront them, but I'm not sure how to do it. This is what they were doing, and what do you think? Now, if the person you're talking to is anything like me, they'll want details. So say, okay. Are they male or female? Were they sitting on the right side of church today, or the left? Were they? Well, okay. Just tell me what color they were wearing. Do not give in to any of that, because people will do that. They'll want the details because, come on, listen. You know you want to know. It's not as fun to know who's doing craziness outside anonymously. It's greater when you know the name. You say, ooh. But if you're going to ask for advice, make it anonymous. And that way you avoid the trap of gossip, because now you're not sharing and spreading this harmful information about somebody because now this person doesn't know. Now, of course, nosy people will start trying to figure out who it is. So you need to be careful about who you say certain things to. But Jesus says, go to people if you have an issue with them. If they don't listen, bring somebody else. So Jesus is always calling us to make personal contact with people. Yes? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny. Somebody asked me that in church today in Paluma. So I think y'all need to have a conversation. Let me just say it again for the, I don't know if they would be able to hear it on the tape. Someone knew that a married couple was, one person was having an affair with someone else, and you found out about it, and you wanted to know it. So you actually told the sister, and then the sister confronted the situation. Here's what I would say. Is the person that I talked to in Paluma, I said, you yourself need to confront the person who is doing it. You go to them, you say, you know what? I know you're having an affair, and you need to deal with this. Now, of course, you can choose to stay out of it. I don't think you necessarily need to reveal everything that you know. But as soon as you go to the sister, you don't know if that sister is going to now go to 5 other people and say. So now you now have spread it. I don't think you did it maliciously. You're trying to do it in a way to not, make it an issue. But I think you need to go directly to the person and deal with them, because, like we said, we don't want problems. Like I was saying before, I don't want to. But sometimes that's the great thing to do. If I knew, once I get married, if you guys know that I'm cheating on Maud. She got a lot of family. There's too many Jones and Pages. I ain't trying to do with that. Yeah, we gotta use somebody else. But you need to go directly to them. Again, because you have the information, you need to deal with it directly. And that's what we said. Sometimes it feels safer to just, I don't want no problems. I just want to tell you what I saw. I don't want nothing to do with this. And it might be in the church. I think it might be even more important that you go to that person. I'm not saying somebody who's just in the world, in the corporate world, that it's not important. But I think that says something too about our own Christian maturity and our integrity, that we're not going to allow people to sin around us, and we know. Because especially this person finds out there's cheating and say, "Did you know?" Yeah. You didn't tell me? That will be bad. Let me do this because I see hands. So what I'm going to do is finish sermon, and then right after, write them down, and we'll see where we're going from there. All right. If gossip had an apartment, where do you think it would live? Facebook. Facebook reports that worldwide, of its 500 million users, that The amount of time spent on it per month is 700 billion minutes. So that comes out to roughly 24 hours per person. A month. A month. The average Facebook user. Now, much of that is spent gossiping and commenting about gossip and sharing gossip, reading gossip. Facebook is, now we have to say this now in this age because we're in the age of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, where you have to now be careful because sometimes people will say things on Facebook about a situation that they're in. They'll say, yeah, some people are jerks. After they got in a fight with their husband. Now, people reading that are going to go, I know who she's talking about. I mean, how many times you read something on Facebook about someone, about a situation, and then come to find out it wasn't true? Or you've read a Facebook situation, and you say, man, I didn't really need to know that. I think gossip, it lives on Facebook. And they're actually, like I said before, there are actually websites that are made specifically for that. So, here's what I want to help you do. I want to help you deal with this because all of us in this room are going to deal with people who are going to come to you and want to gossip. And I want to tell you from the outset that these questions I want to have you ask them are going to make it very, very awkward. But it's good. And I want you to take these questions and I want you to use these questions. Okay, so questions to ask when someone comes to you with harmful information. Question number 1. Use these. Number 1. Why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me this? Now you're forcing this person to give a reason. Remember, gossip often has no positive end. It's just something to talk about. Number 2. What's the difference between what you're telling me and gossip? Like I said, it's going to be very, very awkward when you ask these questions. Number 3. How is your telling me that thought, that complaint, that information going to help you and me love God and our brothers better and knit us closer together as a church in Christ's love? Remember, it's going to be awkward. Number 4, ask them, now that you've told me about that, what are you going to do about it? Now that you told me about it, what are you going to do about it? And lastly, now that you told me about that, you've morally obligated me to make sure you talk to so-and-so about it. How long do you think you need so I can know when this becomes a sin that I will need to confront you in? Now, if you actually use that, people will not come to you. Girl, I heard. Why are you telling me this? I'm cool. You don't want to hear that. You go to people that you know are going to just listen to everything you have to say. Don't be, I think my dad, he says, don't be a garbage receptacle. Don't be somebody who always dumps all the latest news into your ear. Onto your email, your text message, your Facebook page. Don't let that be. Ask them, why are you telling me this? When am I going to have to challenge you about you not going to somebody personally? Now, if you think that what you say does not affect people, let me tell you 2 stories, and then we'll give you a homework, and then we'll be done. 2 stories. Number 1, there was a family in North Dakota, and this family was a very tight-knit family. The father would go to work. The mother would be home with their 2 young boys. And when the father would come home, his kids would run to the gate, and the father would pick up his kids and kiss his wife, and all the neighbors would see how happy they were. There was so much love, and there was so much caring, and songs being sung, the joy that was there, and everybody was just amazed at this young family. And they would go in the house. Sometimes when there was light out during the evening, the father would be out in the lawn playing with his kids. Just a great family. And then one day, a gossip in the town decided to start a rumor that this husband was sleeping with someone else. That he was sneaking off to parks and hotel rooms with this other woman. Totally untrue. But was spreading this around the town, and somehow it got back to this young mother. So he comes home from work one day, and as he comes to the gate, usually his kids would come running up. Kids didn't come up, didn't see his wife. Said, that's weird. Walked in the house, dead silent. He started to get a chill down his back, like something is really wrong. Goes into the basement and finds his 2 kids and wife hanging from a beam. The mother had killed her 2 children, then hung herself. All because of what this person said her husband was doing, and she could not take it, couldn't handle it, and took her 2 kids and herself out. Wasn't even true. Who thinks that your words do not have an impact? Say, well, man, my words would never do that. You don't know what your words can do. You don't know people's mental state. You don't know people's upbringing and what they have dealt with. You don't know what people are dealing with spiritually. What you say can destroy someone. Like in that case, there was a wise man that lived in a town, and everybody came to him for wisdom, but there was one guy in the town that did not like him. He was the town, everybody knew he was the town gossip. He'd always talk about him and talk bad about him, talking about, he's this, he's that to everybody. And then one day this wise man got really, really sick, and he was on his deathbed, and this man who had been talking about him for years just had his heart was just grieved by what he had done to this man for years. So he went to him to try and make amends. And so he says to him, hey, I've been talking about you for years. I've been spreading all sorts of rumors about you. I've been gossiping about your faults and all those things. And I just want to say that I am so, so sorry. And I want to know, is there anything that I can do to make up for my gossip? Is there anything that I can do? He says, yes, there is one thing you can do. I want you to take a bag of feathers, and I want you to go up to the hill right outside town. When you get to the top of the hill, I want you to take all those feathers, and I want you to release them. He said, that's what you want me to do? He said, yeah, that's what I want you to do. So he goes, he grabs this bag of feathers, goes up to the hill, and releases the feathers. A couple hours later, he goes back to the man. He says, okay, I did it. That's what you wanted me to do, and I did it. And the wise man said, now what I want you to do is I want you to go, and I want you to pick up each and every feather and put them back into the sack. And the guy said, there's no way. Who knows where the wind has taken these feathers and that feather and that feather? How in the world am I supposed to do that? He said, in the same way, you cannot take back any of the gossip that you've said, because you have no idea where it's spread. You can't take back anything that you say. It's there. Somebody ever said something that was harmful, and even after they apologize, you still feel the sting of it. Things your parents said to you, things your spouse said to you, things your boss said to you that they might have apologized later for, but it still scars you to this day. You still deal with self-image issues. You still deal with self-esteem issues because of what somebody said, even though they apologize. Your words are very, very powerful. Your words have the power to kill someone's heart, someone's spirit, someone's confidence. And that should not be the atmosphere of our church. People should come into a church and say, man, these people, they love people, and I know that they're genuine because when I'm around them, I don't hear them talking about other people. And that's really the key. When people are hanging out with us at our houses, when we invite them for dinner, we invite them for parties, that you don't talk about the person across the way about all the issues that they have, because that does color how they look at them. You ever hear something about somebody and then you meet them in person, you talk to them, you're like, I don't know where people are getting that from. They're so nice. They're so wonderful. Why would people say that? You don't want to color people's thoughts about other people because you don't know how powerful your words are. Okay, here's your homework assignment for the week. And you have to do it. This is your homework assignment. 2 things. Here's your first assignment. This week, for 7 days, you cannot make any critical comments about anyone. It does not matter who it is. You cannot make any critical comments about anyone. Only encouragement. Only love. Only wonderful and great things. Or nothing. You can say nothing. But you can't say something. Not about the children. You not. Now, of course, you discipline your kids. But nothing critical. 7 days. And what you're going to discover is how sinful you are. I can tell already, like, oh, God, Lord Jesus, we can't do that. That's why I'm at church. I get forgiveness for all this stuff I said. Even if the person is wrong. Like Gail said, you just say nothing. Walk away. 7 days. If somebody comes and say, girl, I got to tell you something, it was great. You go, No. You got to wait till day 8. Day 8. You tell me on Monday. We go to church, take communion, we good. That's your first assignment. Okay? All of you are in here, you see people, you live with them, you around them, hold them accountable. Spouses, hold your other spouse accountable. If they're not here, give them a tape. 7 days. Nothing critical about anyone. Except maybe only the devil. That's it. No one. That's your first. Oh, email counts, text counts, Facebook counts, Instagram counts, Twitter counts, Tumblr counts, LinkedIn counts, every Skype. 0 critical comments. What do you say? Keep them in your head. Because here's the thing, a lot of things that you should say, or that you think you should say, if you just kept it to yourself, you realize later on, I didn't need to say that, and I'm glad I didn't say it. I learned that all the time with Maud. Dang, if I just been quiet, we wouldn't be in this situation. All right, so everybody understands the assignment. Okay, everybody understands this is for everybody in the church. Petaluma grown too. So here's your second assignment. No critical comments, and then every day I want you, by next Sunday, to have this verse memorized. Psalm 141 and verse 3. Psalm 141 and verse 3. Have it memorized by next week. It says this: set a guard over my mouth, O Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips. So as soon as you start feeling like you want to, be critical or say something, here's your verse. Set a guard over my mouth, O Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips.